Well, time to get an update on what is cooking out there in the tropics. Of course, it was a very quiet, slow start to the Atlantic Basin tropical season this year, but now we've had not one, but two tropical storms, Andrea and Barry. Of course, Andrea didn't do much. Andrea was a very short-lived and weak tropical system that kind of developed close to the central Atlantic area and moved away from the U.S. So basically a fish storm, didn't impact land. All right, then we had Tropical Storm Barry more recently. It was kind of short-lived as well and organized, but it did bring some flooding to southeastern Mexico, some significant flooding to some of those areas. So that one did do some damage. Now, things have been quiet since then, but we are watching the potential for our next tropical system, maybe a tropical storm that could develop, unfortunately, over the 4th of July holiday weekend. And guess what? It could impact parts of the U.S. So where is it headed? I've got that answer for you. There are the systems that we've had so far for the Atlantic Basin hurricane season so far for the season. Andrea, which was a tropical storm, and Barry, which was a tropical storm. Neither of these impacted the U.S. Like I said, Andrea didn't mess with anyone. Barry rolled into southeastern Mexico. But next on the list, the next name would be Chantal, and that is the one that could mess with parts of the U.S. over the holiday weekend. Most likely parts of Florida and into Georgia and the Carolinas. The Georgia-Carolina coast definitely going to have the highest risk for some stronger wind, heavy rain, and of course, issues at the beach. Rip current risk will be much higher, and of course, bigger waves. If you're trying to surf, hey, that's great. But if you're trying to enjoy some nice calm water action and go for a swim, not so great. Well, this is what we have at this point. We've been monitoring this chance for tropical development along the southeastern U.S. coast from the National Hurricane Center, and now they're thinking over the next 2 days there's going to be a low 30% chance for tropical development near northeast Florida and that Georgia coast, and over the next 7 days a medium higher 60% chance for tropical development, maybe a tropical depression or tropical storm Chantal. I doubt it would become a hurricane, but it's something we'll have to watch closely. So we basically have a weak frontal boundary kind of draped across the southeastern U.S. We've got an upper low that could actually develop into a surface low, and we are going to have the potential for this low to kind of move north and move back over water, and that is when it could gain strength. Of course, these tropical systems get that strength from that warm ocean water, and when it moves over water, it could start to develop some tropical characteristics. So notice with our Fox Weather tropical model, by 10 p.m. Saturday night, it is starting to look a little bit more impressive, a little more organized, and it's kind of getting that counterclockwise circulation and rolling right into the Carolina coast by Sunday afternoon and evening. So it's a big holiday weekend, and you know there are a lot of nice beaches along the Carolina coast, and a lot of folks travel there during this time of the year. So even if this doesn't turn into a tropical storm, there's still going to be some significant issues. We're talking about wind, several inches of rain possible, and like I said, problems at the beach, a very high rip current risk. Of course, those rip currents can be really dangerous. Big waves, so this is something we're going to have to monitor closely. This particular model already indicating there could be several inches of rain falling from this system, especially for central Florida. Then as we go through the holiday weekend for parts of the Georgia coast, Savannah, and up towards South Carolina along the coastal areas, Charleston, and up towards Wilmington as well. Notice the heaviest rain staying offshore for now, 10 inches. We don't want that, but down towards central Florida, we're talking about Tampa, St. Pete, Orlando, Palm Bay, maybe up to 6 inches of rain as we go through the holiday weekend. So whether we get a tropical storm Chantal or not, it's still going to be a little on the messy side if you are traveling to Florida, Georgia, or the Carolinas for this holiday weekend. However, no tropical troubles heading towards the Houston area or to Texas, so that is good news, at least for the next few days. We've got Saharan dust, though, plenty of that building in for this weekend. So that's actually going to bring in some drier air, and we're not expecting any tropical action for us. That's going to keep us on the hazy side, and we will likely get another dose of this Saharan dust as we go into next week as well. So we're looking good tropics wise for Houston for the moment. Of course, we've made it to the month of July, and that's when that chance for tropical storm formation kind of increases for the northwestern parts of the Gulf. And remember, this is around the time we were hit by Hurricane Beryl last year. So we're monitoring things closely. The Gulf Coast to the western Atlantic are areas where a possible hurricane could form. But right now, we're looking okay. We are monitoring that southeastern U.S. coast, though, for that potential for Tropical Storm Chantal. We're really just getting started for the Atlantic Basin. Of course, the peak of hurricane season for us not until September, and we're just at the beginning of July. So we will be monitoring things closely as we go through the next several months. All right, hopping over to the Eastern Pacific, it's been a different story. We've already had 6 named storms this season, including major hurricanes Eric and Flossie. Flossie was just most recently a Category 3 hurricane, so that was a big deal. So we've got another tropical system that may develop near southern Mexico this weekend into next week. But here's the good news. We've gotten rid of Flossie. It has become post-tropical. It's going to kind of glide west of Cabo this weekend, so some bigger waves, some rip currents if you're vacationing in Cabo, but I'm not expecting any tropical trouble there, so good news. We've been monitoring, though, another system that could develop near southern Mexico early next week, so this one would be named Gil if it developed. Right now, there's a high 80% chance that this thing is going to develop once again, and this would be near Acapulco, southwest Mexico, but right now, models are showing this kind of staying away from Mexico, maybe getting close enough to cause some bigger waves and some rounds of rain, but the actual center of that circulation should stay offshore and kind of track west of the Mexico area. So good news there. We'll continue to monitor things, but at least in Texas, we're looking good for the holiday weekend, not expecting any action from the tropics.